Hey there everyone, Hitesh here, back again with another video, and in this video, I will walk you through with the perfect VS Code setup. Now this video is not just about other videos or almost similar to like that hey, I tell you the list of the VS Code themes and maybe VS Code plugins and you can just install them and forget about them. No, this video is not like that. In this video, I really want to show you that how you can utilize your superpower as a programmer and can install as few as possible plugins and can make still great utilization and great productivity things from the VS Code. Now, I certainly believe that certain plugins helps you to increase your productivity, but certain plugins are also responsible for lagging down your VS Code. Eventually, with the large projects, you are going to feel like that the VS Code is lagging, it's slow, it's not that much fast, and the fault is installing 1,000 different plugins that you are unnecessarily installing, and there is no need of it. You can just do all these things with the settings of VS Code, and only handful of plugins are required, which will truly increase your productivity and are also going to be great when you change your system from Windows to Mac to Linux, or maybe on the GitHub code spaces. Wherever you go, these plugins can easily come along with you. There is a small set of it, and there's a lot of customization. I 100% believe that nobody should directly just plug and play and click and install the plugins unless they know what they're doing and can they replace these plugins with their own customized settings and the code. This is what exactly I have been always advocating, and in case you remember, I actually was there on the live stream of official VS Code channel on Microsoft, and there also I mentioned this thing that hey, don't install 1,000 plugins, work out on customization of each thing. You will enjoy VS Code a lot more than that. This is exactly why there is a cult following of Vim and the Neo Vim, because there is so much of customization. This is going to be a controversial statement that this VS Code is almost like the modern era or for Gen Z of the Vim or the Neo Vim. I know this is going to get a backlash on me, but that's okay. What I'm recommending is don't just go out of the box. Go ahead, customize the things, make it your own VS Code. So in this video, I'll walk you through with the themes, the plugins, and how I make my VS Code as productive as possible, and what plugins and themes and what all the things that I use. So let's go ahead and get started with that. This is going to be a pretty fun journey, so come along with me. Now first, this is my VS Code, and as you can see, I have a project opened up. This is just a basic project that I was teaching in yesterday's class, so there is nothing too much there. If I go ahead and use the controller, you can see the controller is going with that, and this is how it looks like by default. I can hover on the right side and I get a Minimap as well, which is also customized one. Now notice here, I customize things a lot. There is no plugin for Minimap or this everything. I customize the things directly from the VS Code setting. All right, so let me show you that. Now first, you might have noticed that I actually use a customized font in that. Not only this font, sometimes I go ahead, and by the way, I hope you know the settings of this, that you can go ahead and change the setting for everything. Control-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P is the thing. And go ahead and search for the setting file. There is a user setting and the default setting JSON file. I'll go ahead and open user setting first. So this is my setting. I go ahead and keep on changing the things. I'm using a Mona Lisa font, which I paid for. You don't need to do that. You can use any font. Sometimes I actually just 2 days ago, I bought another font, Comic Code, and I paid around $12 for it. I bought 2 versions of it. One version comes for $6. I found it interesting, and this is how it looks like. A bit quirky, but I'm still testing out that in the tutorials, is it nicely visible? Is it giving fun to user, or is it giving pain to user? So do let me know in the comment section. I would love to see that. So the first setting that I want and I always use is change the font. I stare the screen almost all day long, and I want the font to be customizable. I know a lot of people don't invest in their font and think, who buys the font? I do, and I love that. I actually appreciate the people who are working on bringing us the fonts which are programmer-centric. There are a lot of others like Fira Code and a bunch of them. Feel free to try any one of them, but all I recommend is give it a try. That's the most important thing. Now coming up on the theme part, which theme I'm using? Now, I definitely use themes, and I've used themes in the past as well, but every single time I actually come so far away from the theme that telling you that this is the theme you can install and you'll get exactly my look is not possible. I love to customize my theme. I love to change the token colors and everything. I know you don't know it, but I'll walk you through that, how you can customize things and themes on you. Now, the best way of getting started with the theme is install a theme which you already love, but it is almost there that you find your true love there. So you can do a customization. Let me walk you through that how you can actually go ahead and utilize this. So this is the VS Code official documentation, and you'll see that syntax highlight guide as well as tokenization. You want to focus a lot more on the tokenization because this actually introduces you to language grammar. Language grammar simply means when you create a try-catch block or this code indentation block, or maybe things like console, the variables, the things which are default in the language, like if statement, if keywords, what language could be there. This is all your grammar and your tokenization. And you can go ahead and learn about them and change a lot of things, like how your variables should be declared, how your string should actually, the colorization should happen. So they give you a whole lot of things that how you can design and work with that. Now, I highly recommend you to do this because this is not just important for creating a new theme, but it actually helps you to dive deep into the language grammar as well. How the JavaScript is designed, how the C++ is designed, how the Java is designed, what are the tokenization of it. It actually opens up so much of your mind that you'll absolutely love and enjoy it. So right now, I'm actually on this theme, which is quite far. It is almost 100%, almost not 100%, but yeah, 70-80% customizable. I'll very soon publish the theme. I use certain settings, like for example, on the top, whichever the tab is highlighted, it's easier for the teaching purpose. So I pay a lot of attention on that detail. So here we go. I have a lot of details, which tab is highlighted so that user doesn't face any problem while learning. So this is the basics of it. Now, further on, when I move further, the first setting that I do is configure my minmap. Now, in order to do so, all you have to do is just open up the settings. Once you have done the settings, go ahead and look for minmap. Just search for it, and you'll be able to see all the minmap settings. For example, I do my minmap scaling at 2 because this is already too zoomed out. So scaling is 2. And this scaling is nothing that how much of the values that you see. If I go ahead and change this to something like 3, this will be a lot bigger. So if I go ahead and do this, this is already consuming too much of my space. So I think the 2 is good enough for me. You try yourself. Now I also go ahead and simply hide it automatically. That actually saves a lot of space on my real estate on the screen. I do that as well. And also on top of that, I actually hides a lot of things. So here, notice this, I always uncheck this. It says render the actual character on a line. So if you render the actual character, it not only consumes a little bit or more of the memory, which I don't like, but there's no point of this. It's already unreadable. I don't know if you can read it, but I cannot. So I go ahead and change this that, hey, don't render the actual character, save some memory and bandwidth there, and just give me the patterns. So already looking at this, I know that this is one method here, this is one method here. If there is any errors, it automatically highlights the red. So this I found a far more better setting than doing anything else like that. Now, another thing that I actually use a lot is the snippets. So this is one thing which I highly recommend to every single one, is there is a lot of time that you actually work on a lot of things. For example, let's go into this controller. This is a delete user controller, and I love to use this a lot. And I don't know how I was living before this plugin. Here is the plugin known as Pieces. Now, I am a big fan of Pieces these days. I don't know how I was living before the Pieces. It is so much productive and organize everything for me. So this is the first plugin that I keep always intact. The advantage of this is it's always available to me. And the best part is I can just, after installing it, I can right click and just save everything to the Pieces. So if I go ahead and simply say, hey, share this via the Pieces link, if I want to share it with anybody, if I go ahead and want to just simply save this to Pieces, it will automatically go ahead and save it to the Pieces. Best part about it. Now, what I like on top of this is the flow. That is the best part. I know a lot of people will comment down and say, I can find it in ChatGPT. The flow, man, the flow. You are not going to find the flow in the ChatGPT. Let me show you. I can click on the Pieces and I simply can search all of my saved material. I've just started using it, so there is not thousands of it, only the usable one of them, which I constantly use. I can just open it up and check out that, hey, what did I use for this guy here in the TypeScript? So this is my AppWrite React Native configuration. I can just see and just check it out. And I can just see and read all the descriptions, whatever I have saved, where is the shareable link, all the details are available to me right in the VS Code. I don't have to leave the VS Code. That is the best thing I love. And here, notice here, there's a middleware about the Next.js. If I go ahead and open up the JavaScript, there's a Mongoose connection string. I can just go ahead and just bring it back into my code file. So easy. I don't have to do 1,000 things and a circus of going on to the ChatGPT or searching out on the internet, Stack Overflow, no need to do anything. So this actually increased my productivity, so I'll always keep the pieces. Yes, there is default softwares available for this that I can try and work on with this. But I found myself using it more in the VS Code as compared to the official, their setup and their software. So I enjoy it more here. Yes, I use the software a lot, but I'm using these days it more in the VS Code itself. And by the way, recently I saw their tweet that now it's available in the Python notebooks as well. So yeah, they are onto a very much spree of just making it available every single place. Okay. So this is all the basics. Now let me go ahead and move on to the extension pack. If you go ahead and see the extension pack, I receive a lot of extension from the companies as well. They say, hey, don't just mention it on the YouTube yet. We are not ready. So I try them a lot. But I'll walk you through which of them are always available in my VS Code settings so that you can also get this. Now, the first one that I absolutely love is actually the indent. So indent rainbow is one of them. So if I go ahead and look on this indent rainbow, this is one of the best plugin that I have used so far. It actually helps me so much to do a lot of productive stuff. For example, if I go ahead in the user controller, you can already see that there is so much of the code which I can easily understand. Where is the indentation, how it is going on, which color. And it is super useful when you're working something like YAML files and Dockers or maybe something similar to that. So it's super helpful. I always and always keep it with myself. Never have found a single place where I find it not useful. Not only that, there is also a helper guy which actually helps this plugin to perform better. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you are aware of it, known as Prettier. Yes, but you have to do the settings a little bit of the Prettier based on what language you're using and it is enabled or not. So you have to go ahead and try this out. But again, you can do a lot of these settings and everything directly out in the VS Code. So if I go ahead and look at this, in the very bottom of it, I can just check on the Prettier, click on it, and notice here the code output and all of this is available to me. So I just use it like that. But you can go ahead and do Command-Shift-P and write Prettier. So notice here the Prettier settings, maybe indentation, no, Prettier. So I just use the Prettier settings directly there. So it works out of the box. There is nothing too much to worry about on that side. Okay. Moving on to another favorite of my plugin is something which I use a lot and it helps me. I love the way how it actually works. So there is something like a to-do highlighter. The best part about the to-do highlighter is it is customizable. You can write more of the strings. For example, let me show you that. I actually have a couple of more things which I use in my course and recordings. For example, we'll discuss this in the next video. For example, we'll discuss this or we'll not discuss this. This is your assignment. You can actually use this to do highlight and add more keywords. Again, the settings are same. They have mentioned this quite a lot in here as well, that how you can actually do this. There are some examples as well of the highlighting to do keywords and all of that. You can try this out in case you want to. This is one of the things which I absolutely love. So to do highlight is one of the plugin. Another one after Prettier, we have this to do highlight, and there are a lot of them. I just use the first one by Liu. And this works out of the box. And I definitely have some of this thing customizable for me, but I actually use this a lot. Now, one of the next plugin is going to surprise you a lot. For example, and by the way, do you know that you can actually just double click anywhere here and create a file in the root? Just double click and you'll just get this. Now, let's just say you're working on react.js. Or maybe there's a file available already with the name of react.js. So we'll just open this up. Before making this video, I was just trying this out. Right now, there is nothing in it. Now, I always recommend that plugins needs to come and go as you're working on some project. Maybe you're working on Angular, maybe you're working on Python, maybe you're working on something else. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you have this code runner, which is always available in your VS Code. It consumes so much of memory. If you're not utilizing it, maybe you're working in React or a Node project, why that plugin is there, you can always reinstall it. So you're just bogging down your performance of VS Code as well as your system. So I highly, highly discourage you to do so. Make the plugins and make the things coming, go in. And some of them are always constant that you always work with them, like the to-do highlighter or maybe pieces. These are my productive tools, but not all the things. So that is why you don't see code runner here. But if I'm working on maybe C++ and the project is C++, so I'll just definitely have installed it in my system. Now, you also might have seen that some people who work in React also use a lot of React snippet. For example, there is React Native Functional Export Component, something like this. Yes, I'm about to get rid of this very soon, and I want to show you how I'm going to get rid of this. Now, if I go ahead and do this, this actually gives me a boilerplate code. Nice, there is no problem in it. But here's the thing. Now, I have another plugin installed which can help me to get away from it very, very soon. Now, this is the snippet creator that I'm using. It's WWare Consulting. This is what I'm using. Now, this is far more different than the pieces. Pieces actually help you to save these snippets every single place. In your VS Code, in your pieces, original software, this actually helps you to use the snippets and create a VS Code shortcuts for it. So just like I was able to do all of this by simply saying that, hey, I want a React Native functional export component, I can go ahead and use it. But can you notice here that I'm also using 100 different such shortcuts which are in their VS Code? I don't know what they're doing there. I don't need all of them. I just need a handful of few which I use. I don't use thousands of them. I just use a few of them. So what you can do is you can just simply go ahead and select all of this that, hey, this is what I want to have and save. And I can just go ahead and Command-Shift-P and I can just go ahead and say that, hey, I want to create a snippet. Once you go ahead and say that, hey, you want to create a snippet, just give it a language. So I'll just go ahead and say JavaScript. And what is the name of this snippet? So this is simply React Native export snippet for me. The name can be anything. And then what should be the prefix which is going to trigger this? So I'm going to say that, hey, this will be rn export. So you can name it whatever you like. I love this rn export. And then simply if you want to give and provide some description, that's great. Otherwise, it will automatically use the snippet name. So that's it. Now I have this snippet saved. This is locally in my VS Code. Notice there is a difference. If VS Code goes away, this will also go away. So I highly recommend to also save this into your pieces so that next time you need, you can just bring it back from the pieces. That's always great. Just save this. And now I can use rn export. Oops. Looks like I didn't saved it properly. So I can go ahead and use rn export. So probably, let's do this one more time. So probably didn't saved it. All right, so let's try. That's why I'm saying that I'm trying it right now. React Native functional export. There we go. So we'll just use it, or we'll use the different one. React Native functional export with the styling. Yeah, that's the one. Let's try this one more time. So I'll just save this again, and this time we'll just Command-Shift-P and we'll say we want to create a snippet. This will be JavaScript and we'll be saying the snippet inclusion and we'll say snippet name. So we'll just say rn-export will be my name. The trigger will be rn export and probably I use it export before recording the video. So that's why it's creating a problem. So I'll say something like my rn. So that probably will be helping us. And then I'll just save it. So all right, now it should be working fine. So I'll just say my rn. It's not working. Probably there is some issue with that. That's why I'm saying it's about to replace. But I tested it out while before recording this, it was working fine. So this is really a great snippet. I'll just check out why it is not working because as certainly we can see that it's not working as the time of recording. Again, I don't have any affiliation with any of these snippets. I'm just telling you what I use and what's working for me. And that is one of the reasons that I'm still not sure that can it replace 100% of my VS Code snippets. I'm still using the React Native snippets. So I'll just say React snippets, something like this. So there we go. I still have this installed. As you can see, this is still installed. But what I'm concerned about, it gives me so much more that I'm not using. So I just want to use only the ones which I'm using. Again, these come and go. For example, these days I'm using a lot about the Tailwind. So obviously the Tailwind snippet is installed. But I don't keep it installed always. I always make it come and go. Some of the plugins which are always there also includes something known as Live Server. So as you know, by Ritvik Day. So this is the one which is always there because anyhow, I'm actually utilizing something for the web development. So I always keep this one up. On top of that, I also use Postman. You might have already seen that. And a lot of you might be a Thunder client fan. And yes, I am too. But I actually use Postman a lot because it provides me the login feature. A lot of my work and which I do with the colleagues is already in the Postman. And it gives me the Postman out of the box. In here, I can see and grab all the features, all of my collections directly in the VS Code. So that is why I use it. A lot of professionals also use Postman because already a lot of work is in the Postman. So why not to just bring it up? Again, this doesn't mean Thunder Client is bad. It's equally good, but this actually makes a lot of sense for my workflow. So I use Postman up here as well. On top of this, I also use Docker, as you might have seen this here. So this is the one. It actually allows me to have all the registries, all the images that I have. Not only this, it actually gives me a visual of all the networks, all the volumes that I'm creating. I'm working on it. I have right now removed it so that I don't accidentally expose anything. So this is all the plugins and features that I use. Again, the core sense of making this video is to make you as much productive as you can. And don't install 1,000 different plugins just because a new video has arrived or somebody have shared in the reel that, hey, install this plugin. No, you don't need it. If you need it, then only get it. And that's why. So again, giving you a quick list of all the plugins and everything that I use. I actually use a customized theme. I always customize my Minimap first. I use indent rainbow. Yes, I have actually made notes here. So I use indent rainbows. I use to-do highlighters and prettier. These are my go-to have. And then on top of that, the plugins that I always install is these days Pieces, Postman, and the Docker. So these are the things which always are there. Live server. And after all of this, the things actually keeps on coming and go. For example, the code runner, you might have seen a lot of people recommending it all the time. No, you don't need it. So for example, there is a code runner. If you are working on something, then only go ahead and install it. I do install it from time to time. But if I'm working on JavaScript, there's no point of installing it. I'm running it all the time with the node, with the command line. So don't overburden your VS Code. It's a great plugin, but you don't need it all the time. And then on top of this, sometimes I'm trying out new plugins as well. One of the more plugin I would like to highlight as a bonus as well. For example, there is this new plugin, which is for the JavaScript. This is known as Code Ninja. Code Ninja. Yeah, Console Ninja, my bad. I'm also using this. As you can see, this is also installed. But there is one thing which is bothering me a little bit. It works only and only when there is a package.json file and there's a configuration. So what it does, it actually helps you to just have the output of the console log directly here. As you can see, this is where the console log highlight is automatically coming, that what will be the output. But what I really don't like about it is it doesn't work in the core JavaScript file. If this would work in directly the JavaScript file without the package.json and npm modules, I would love to use it. It's so much good for the teaching purpose. But right now, all it is doing is it works in the React projects and the Node projects and all of that. I would love to use it, and sometimes I do use it. But as of now, I'm just playing around with it. So it's helpful, great to have, but I'm not dependent on it that much. If it works in the core JavaScript file without npm package or something, I would love to use it for the teaching purpose. So much useful, but it doesn't sadly work. So anyways, I'll still update you more on all the plugins and settings and how I use all the things. Make sure you actually go ahead and read more about the tokenization. This is the most important part of this video, that you learn about the language syntax, highlightings, grammars, and all of this. So this is all. So hope this video has helped you to understand the productivity game with the VS Code, and I think you have enjoyed this. Go ahead and try all these out, the Postman, the Pieces. It's so much productive and helpful. All right, that's it for this video, and I'll surely catch you up in the next one.